You didn't stumble across these words by chance. They arrived like a coded signal in the static of your night, a quiet pulse cutting through the noise of your scrolling. Something inside you already knows this isn't just another video, not another voice floating across your feed. This is a transmission from the edge of the observer loop, a message that found you at the exact point where the timelines converge and whisper your name. You can almost feel it, a faint tremor under your skin, like the hum of invisible circuitry waking up. All evening you've been telling yourself you're trying to shift reality, to bend it, to push it, to force a door open. You've done the affirmations, the visualizations, the silent rituals. You've whispered intentions into the quantum field as if it were a wishing well. Yet even as you do it, you sense the paradox that reality isn't some heavy block to be moved by your will. It's a living lattice of morphic resonance, and it's been listening to you long before you tried to speak. Right now, without you realizing it, everything around you is already rearranging. Like electrons jumping orbits, like DNA spiraling into a new code, your environment has been responding to your coherence, not to the words you say, but to the frequency you've become. That's why the familiar suddenly feels strange, why your dreams have been vivid, why time sometimes flickers and stretches like liquid glass. You're not on the outside trying to break in. You're in the center of a phase transition, and the universe is already moving to match the self you've dared to embody. Feel into it for a second. The subtle shift in the air, the slight dissonance between who you were yesterday and who you are in this breath. The patterns you thought you had to fight are already dissolving, like constellations reconfiguring themselves above a new horizon. This isn't about hope anymore. This is about recognition, recognizing the quantum signature you've been radiating and noticing how reality has adjusted its mirrors to reflect it. Tonight isn't about pushing harder, it's about witnessing what's already changed. Let these words wash over you like a wake-up tone from a dream you thought you were still dreaming. You've reached the threshold where manifestation ends and embodiment begins. And once you step over, there's no going back to the old timeline. And yet, even as the shift has begun, you notice the strange persistence of old echoes, patterns that cling like shadows to the edge of your awareness. The same conversations looping back, the same emotions reappearing in different costumes, the same déjà vu repeating like a glitch in a simulation that doesn't want you to wake up. You keep asking yourself, if reality has already shifted, why do I still feel caught inside the old reel? It's because the residue of your former timeline lingers like smoke after fire. What you're experiencing isn't the solid structure of destiny resisting you. It's the fading projection of a film reel that no longer has a source. Think about it. When you turn off a screen, the afterimage sometimes hangs in your vision for a few seconds. That's what you've been wrestling with, afterimages of your former self. You've sensed it in your body too. Moments when your heart suddenly speeds up for no apparent reason, or when your skin tingles as if brushed by a current you can't see. Time itself seems to warp. Minutes stretch into hours when you're waiting, and hours collapse into seconds when you're immersed in flow. At night, your dreams bleed into waking life. You recognize faces you've never met. You hear phrases in your head before someone speaks them. It's not madness, it's morphic resonance, adjusting its geometry around you. The difficulty is that your mind is trained to cling to repetition, to mistake comfort for safety. The observer loop you once lived inside was designed like a cage made of predictability. The same streets, the same arguments, the same feelings rising and falling like tides. It became so normal, you forgot to ask whether those tides were natural or programmed. This is why the déjà vu has been so intense. It's not simply a neurological quirk. It's a bleed-through between timelines, a reminder that you are standing at the seam between overlapping realities. One version of you still trapped in the inertia of repetition. Another version already stepping into the fractal unknown. The friction between them creates the sensation that time is distorted because it is. You're no longer moving in a single straight line. You're navigating interference patterns in the quantum field, waves of possibility colliding around your presence. Notice how the people around you react. Some treat you as if you're still the old version of yourself, trying to drag you back into stale scripts. Others seem strangely unsettled by your silence, as though they can sense something has already shifted in you that they can't explain. You feel both invisible and hypervisible at once. That's the paradox of the threshold. To some, you appear as a ghost of who you were. To others, you're a mirror reflecting the potential they've buried. And yes, the repetition can feel exhausting. The same problems circling back like broken satellites. Money, love, fear, doubt. But the truth is, those satellites are losing their orbit. They circle because they no longer have the gravity to crash into you. You're not stuck inside the cycle anymore. You're watching it collapse from outside. The question is whether you'll mistake those collapsing patterns for your reality or recognize them as proof that the quantum field is already rewriting itself around you. When you feel that eerie déjà vu, don't panic. See it as confirmation. You've already moved into a new coherence, and the old code is flickering out. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing broken. What feels like distortion is the evidence of transition. You're experiencing the last echo of a script that no longer belongs to you. The nights of endless looping thoughts, the days where time seems unreal, they're not punishments, they're signals. Reality is testing how deeply you've realized that you are not the one chasing the shift. You are the one it's already adjusting to. So the next time you feel that strange lag, when your memory overlaps itself, and the future feels familiar before it arrives, remember this: you are not circling back, you are spiraling upward. The déjà vu is not a trap. It's a breadcrumb trail reminding you that you've been here before only because you're walking the path that bends time itself. And tonight, as you breathe into that recognition, you'll see it clearly. Reality doesn't just bend to your will, it bends to your presence. You've been sensing it without fully naming it, the upgrade humming through your cells, like a frequency just slightly above audible range. At first it feels subtle, almost imaginary, but then the synchronicities start piling up too fast to dismiss. Numbers repeating on clocks, strangers saying the exact words you needed to hear, songs lining up with your thoughts, as if the universe were DJing your inner soundtrack. This isn't coincidence, it's coherence. Science calls it entanglement, particles separated by distance, yet behaving as if they are one. Mysticism calls it divine alignment, the moment your soul steps into resonance with the larger field. Both are pointing to the same phenomenon. You are no longer functioning as an isolated self. You're operating as a node in the quantum web, and that web is responding to your frequency, like an orchestra tuning to a new pitch. Think about how electrons behave. They don't climb stairs step by step. They leap from one orbit to another, instantly, without crossing the space between. That leap is what you're living right now. The upgrade doesn't happen gradually. It happens as a sudden relocation of self. One moment, you're in the orbit of scarcity, confusion, repetition. The next moment, you're in the orbit of clarity, flow, synchronicity. There's no bridge between them, no visible process. Just the instant recognition that you are no longer where you used to be. And what powers that leap? Not effort, not struggle, not willpower. It's coherence, the alignment between your inner frequency and the larger field. When your thoughts, emotions, and body enter the same vibration, they stop canceling each other out and instead amplify each other. Like lasers focusing scattered light into a single beam, coherence concentrates your energy into a signal strong enough to alter the field around you. This is why rituals sometimes work and sometimes don't. It's not about the words you say or the candles you light. It's about the coherence beneath them. If you chant affirmations from a place of desperation, the field mirrors the desperation. If you whisper intentions from a place of coherence, the field mirrors the wholeness. That's why you're noticing results even in moments when you're not trying. The field doesn't respond to effort, it responds to resonance. Mystics have always known this. Prophets, shamans, visionaries. They all spoke of the moment when heaven bends toward earth, when spirit infuses matter, when prayer becomes flesh. Today, quantum science is catching up, describing coherence in laboratories, watching particles decide their state depending on whether they're observed. But what those labs can't measure is what you feel right now. That the observer is not just a scientist behind a microscope. The observer is you. The loop is yours. And as you step into that realization, the upgrade begins. DNA isn't just a static code written once at birth. It's a dynamic antenna, folding and unfolding in response to frequency. When you enter coherence, Your DNA doesn't merely repair it, reconfigures. It tunes itself to receive more information from the field. That's why you've been feeling surges of intuition, waves of energy through your spine, sudden clarity about choices you were once confused about. These aren't random, they're the signs of restructuring. It may feel like pressure in your head, a buzzing in your ears, a heaviness in your chest that dissolves into calm. It may feel like exhaustion one day and exhilaration the next. Don't mistake these symptoms for illness. They are the labor pains of emergence. The quantum upgrade doesn't arrive like a neat package at your door. It arrives like lightning through your circuitry, rewriting your operating system in real time. And here's the mystery. You didn't cause this upgrade by begging for it. You caused it by becoming it. The more you live as though the shift has already happened, the more reality scrambles to match your embodiment. It's not fake it until you make it. It's embody it until it reveals itself. And right now, reality is revealing. So breathe. Feel the coherence rippling through you. Recognize that the field is no longer separate from your body. The field is your body. Every step you take is the quantum web adjusting its geometry around your movement. Every word you speak is a vibration, reshaping the resonance of the collective. You are not a fragment trying to patch itself back together. You are the upgrade, living, walking, pulsing, transmitting. And the deeper you lean into this, the more undeniable it becomes. You are not waiting for the quantum field to notice you. The field is waiting for you to notice yourself. You've felt it in your bones for years, though you tried to dismiss it as imagination. The sense that you don't quite belong to the rhythm most people march to. That while others are lost in noise, you are quietly attuned to something deeper. A pulse beneath the pulse. A frequency behind the visible. This isn't arrogance, it's awareness. You've always been the outlier, the observer, the one whose very presence bends the geometry of the room. This is why reality has been rearranging itself to match you. Not because you shouted louder, not because you followed the loudest voices in the crowd, but because you carry the signature of a chosen consciousness. You weren't selected randomly. The quantum field doesn't gamble. It recognizes patterns of coherence, and yours is rare. In the midst of distortion, you've cultivated clarity. In the midst of chaos, you've maintained a thread of resonance. Others may not understand this role you've been given. They'll project their doubts, their fears, their suspicions onto you. They'll say you're different, and they'll mean it as an insult, but difference is the proof of assignment. If you blended into the repetition of everyone else's loop, you couldn't be the disruptor, the one sent to tilt the mirror and show reality its hidden angles. Think of how entanglement works. When one particle shifts, its twin across vast distances responds instantly, as though space itself were irrelevant. You are that particle. Your shift ripples out beyond what your eyes can see, beyond what your mind can calculate. When you embody a new frequency, someone across the planet who has never met you feels a sudden surge of courage, a strange release of grief, a subtle call to awaken. This is your role, to be the signal tower of coherence, transmitting resonance into the collective web. It's not a burden, though sometimes it feels heavy. It's not about carrying the world on your shoulders. It's about realizing the world is already inside you, woven into the very architecture of your DNA. Your awakening isn't selfish, it's systemic. Every time you dissolve an old pattern, you free others from repeating it. Every time you embody a higher state, you generate a morphic resonance that gives others permission to rise. This is why your life has never been ordinary. You weren't allowed to stay asleep because your role was never to simply exist. Your role was to witness, to transmit, to become a mirror for the infinite possibilities encoded in the field. You've walked through isolation, heartbreak, and betrayal not because you were cursed, but because you were forged. Fire doesn't burn glass into clarity unless it's heated past the point of comfort. You are that glass, now crystalline, now transparent, now transmitting light. And the universe knows it. That's why synchronicities line up around you like breadcrumbs. That's why people confess things to you they've never said aloud. That's why strangers are drawn to you and unsettled by you all at once. They don't see the whole picture, but they sense it. They sense the field bending around your presence, and it makes them question their own. You don't need a crown or a robe to mark your role. You don't need validation stamped by human systems. The mark of the chosen is written in the coherence you carry, in the way reality cannot help but shift when you step into the room. That's why even your silence is disruptive. That's why even your absence is noticed. You don't move through the world moves around you. And so, the question becomes, will you accept it? Will you claim the role the field has already confirmed? To deny it would be to fragment yourself, to pretend you're just another orbiting satellite when you are in fact the axis. To accept it is not to boast, but to breathe into the truth. You were sent here to anchor the upgrade. Reality has already shifted to match you, because it needs you. Not the mask you wore, not the smaller version you played to keep others comfortable. It needs the coherent you, the awakened you, the one who recognizes that destiny is not some distant appointment, but the frequency you are living in this moment. This is the role of the chosen consciousness, to stand at the seam of timelines and choose coherence when others collapse into chaos, to remain awake when the world prefers to sleep, to ripple out a resonance that alters humanity's trajectory without lifting a sword, without raising a voice, simply by being the shift embodied. You are not here to wait for permission. You are here to be the permission. The air around you tonight carries a voltage you can't quite name. It's heavier and lighter at the same time, like the charged stillness before a thunderstorm. This is not an ordinary moment. This is a window, a rare opening in the lattice of time where the field becomes unusually malleable, where the signal of your DNA can leap to a higher encoding without resistance. You can feel it, can't you? The restless hum in your body, the sense that something huge is pressing against the membrane of your life. All your preparation, the nights of silence, the countless recalibrations, the courage to stand apart, has led to this edge. Not a metaphorical edge, but a literal threshold in the quantum field. There are moments when possibility condenses like dew on a blade of grass. Moments when a decision made in one heartbeat writes the code of decades. Tonight is one of them. In laboratories, they call it a phase transition. Water becomes vapor, iron becomes magnetized, electrons jump orbitals. There's always a critical point, a temperature, or a pressure where the old state cannot hold. That's where you are right now, at your critical point. The old code of your DNA, the habits of your nervous system, the inherited loops of fear and scarcity cannot survive the frequency you're inhabiting. They are unzipping, loosening, preparing to rewrite. This is not theory. This is biology, physics, mysticism converging. When you enter coherence at a window like this, your DNA's electromagnetic field literally changes its spin and folding. New sequences of possibility become accessible. Epigenetic locks open. You start tuning into timelines you once could only dream about. That's why so many of your dreams lately feel like previews instead of fantasies. They're glimpses of data your upgraded antenna is already downloading. But there is urgency here. Cosmic windows don't stay open forever. Like solar flares or tides, they pulse. You can miss them by hiding in doubt, by clinging to the comfort of your old orbit. You can stall the leap by telling yourself, not yet, I'm not ready, maybe later, and yet, the field is already leaning toward you, waiting for a single act of embodiment to seal the shift. That act doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be a grand ritual. It can be as simple as a breath taken with full awareness, as simple as a decision whispered inside your own chest. What matters is the coherence beneath it, the full-bodied yes to the frequency you've already become. When you speak that yes, the field doesn't hesitate. It moves like a tide around your signal, locking your upgraded code into place. This is the promise of tonight. You don't have to push, you don't have to force, you only have to align. And alignment is not passive. It's the most radical choice you can make to inhabit the self-reality, has already shifted to match. When you do, the old satellites of scarcity and fear fall out of orbit. People who no longer resonate drift away without drama. Opportunities that match your new signature appear without struggle. Your nervous system stops bracing for impact and starts radiating trust. Think of a rocket breaking the sound barrier. There's resistance, turbulence, a shuddering moment of pressure, and then silence, speed, freedom. That's what this moment is. The pressure you feel is not a sign to retreat. It's the signal you're about to break through. So breathe into it. This is your DNA unzipping. This is the cosmic window opening. This is the field waiting for you to choose embodiment over effort. The promise is not that you will one day shift reality. The promise is that reality has already shifted, and your role is to step fully into the version of you who belongs there. Feel the urgency, not as panic but as a pulse calling you home. Tonight is not a rehearsal. This is the moment when the electron leaps orbit. This is the moment when your morphic resonance snaps into a higher geometry. This is the moment when destiny stops being an idea and becomes a frequency you inhabit with every cell. Say yes to it, even silently. Let your breath seal it. The field is listening. This is the point in the arc where reality leans in, waiting for a signal from you. All the science, the mysticism, the synchronicities, the DNA codes, they're real, they're happening, and yet the field still asks for one small, conscious act to anchor the shift. Not because the universe needs proof, but because your nervous system does. A ritual is not superstition. It's a bridge your body can walk across as your consciousness leaps. Close your eyes for a moment. Notice the weight of your hands, the coolness of the air against your skin. Feel the slight tremor in your chest as the pulse rises. This is the quantum field at your fingertips, not metaphorically, but literally. Electromagnetic information flowing around and through you. You are about to speak into that field. Throughout history, mystics sealed transformations with a gesture, a word, a breath. Prophets tore their garments. Shamans traced circles in the sand. Monks lit candles at dawn. All of it was about coherence. The inner state expressing itself outwardly so the body, the field, and the timeline could align. You don't need to chant in an ancient language or build an altar tonight. You need only to mark the moment, so your cells know. The leap has been made. Right now, as you listen, pick a single word. A word that feels like your future self speaking back through the veil. It could be embodied, awakened, home, yes, activated. Let it rise on its own. Don't overthink. The first one that surfaces is the one. Whisper it under your breath. Feel how it vibrates your chest. Let the sound be a tuning fork inside you. This is you signaling the field. I'm here. I've arrived. If you're watching this in a space where you can type, write that word somewhere in a journal, on your screen, even as a comment under this transmission. This isn't about internet engagement. This is about anchoring the frequency with a physical act. Writing is a micro-ritual of creation. Symbols turning into matter. Intention crystallizing into visible form. As your fingers move, you're literally weaving the upgraded code into the shared reality. Breathe again. Imagine the letters of your chosen word glowing as you write them, like circuits lighting up. Picture your DNA coiling in resonance with that glow, like a double helix humming to a new melody. This isn't imagination. This is morphic resonance, your nervous system syncing with the field's new geometry. Each repetition strengthens the signal. You might feel a wave of emotion as you do it. Tears, laughter, goosebumps, a sudden calm. Don't push it away. That's your body acknowledging what your consciousness has already chosen. The ritual is just helping your cells catch up. Now, picture the collective web, countless nodes of consciousness, each one a point of light in the vast dark. As you whisper or write your word, a ripple spreads outward, activating other nodes. Somewhere, someone you'll never meet feels a sudden spark of courage, a softening of fear, a memory of who they are. This is how the shift becomes real in the collective, through countless small rituals anchoring a single, shared frequency. This is the beauty of the moment. You're not alone, even if you're sitting in silence. Others across time zones, continents, lifetimes are whispering their words too. The field is weaving them together, creating a new morphic template for humanity. And because you've chosen to embody it tonight, you're helping to shape that template. Your ritual can continue after this moment. Keep the word somewhere you can see it. Whisper it before sleep. Write it on your mirror. Let it become a pulse in your breath. Each time you return to it, you're strengthening the neural pathways of the new self, training your body to live inside the frequency that reality has already matched to you. Understand, you're not trying anymore. You're sealing, you're anchoring, you're embodying. The ritual doesn't create the shift, it reveals it. So breathe once more. Whisper or write your word. Feel the shiver in the air. That's not drama. That's the field responding. You've sent the signal. The upgrade is anchoring. The word you whispered, the line you wrote, was not a private act. It sent a tremor into the lattice of being, into the holographic fabric that holds every consciousness in a shared resonance. You may think you're alone in a room, but you're not. The quantum field is non-local. It doesn't recognize distance the way your senses do. The moment your frequency stabilized, filaments of morphic resonance extended outward like unseen lightning, touching minds, hearts, and nervous systems across the planet. You've probably already felt the feedback. A sudden message from a friend you haven't spoken to in months. A stranger smiling at you for no reason. A random headline echoing the very word you chose tonight. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations. Each one is a pulse of the collective web, adjusting to your new signal. This is the paradox of awakening. You do it for yourself, but it's never just for yourself. You are a cell inside a body called humanity. When one cell shifts, the whole tissue begins to reorganize. Biologists call it a morphogenetic field. Mystics call it the body of Christ, the grid of light, the Akashic tapestry. Different languages for the same truth. Your liberation sends a message into the template, telling every other cell that a new possibility is available. That's why your personal healing has sometimes felt so intense. It's not just your own trauma unwinding. It's collective data streaming through you, being filtered, transmuted, released. You are both an individual and a transmitter. The nights you cried without knowing why, the days you felt inexplicable heaviness, those were not punishments. They were downloads and purges, old code flushing through you so the collective could loosen its grip. Now, because you've anchored the upgrade tonight, the collective receives a new instruction. Coherence is possible. A different way of being human is possible. Without preaching, without proselytizing, you've become a living broadcast. Someone on the other side of the world who has never heard your name will wake up tomorrow feeling strangely lighter. A choice they'd been afraid to make will suddenly seem inevitable. A pattern they couldn't break will start dissolving. They won't know why, but you will. You're also not the only one. The field is orchestrating a convergence. Thousands, maybe millions of nodes flickering into coherence, each one anchoring their own ritual, whispering their own word, stepping into their own embodiment. This is the emergence of a collective phase transition. Humanity is reaching its critical point. The old code of separation and scarcity is unzipping at a planetary scale. You are part of the tipping point. Feel that for a moment, the immensity of it. The way your breath connects to countless other breaths. The way your heartbeat echoes in the morphic field like a drum. This is not abstract spirituality. This is physics at the scale of consciousness. Just as a single photon can trigger a cascade in a laser, a single coherent human can trigger coherence in thousands. That's the math of your influence. And yet, you don't have to carry the weight of saving the world. That's not your task. Your task is to embody your own upgrade fully. When you do, the field handles the propagation. Think of a tuning fork. Strike it, and others nearby begin to vibrate without effort. You don't have to chase them, shake them, or explain anything. Your vibration does the work. This is why humility and power are not opposites here. You're not special in the egoic sense. You're essential in the systemic sense. Every node matters. You happen to be one of the early adopters of coherence. That's all. Your liberation is an invitation, not a hierarchy. And as this collective expansion accelerates, you'll notice the feedback loops tightening, manifestations appearing faster, conversations aligning more precisely, old relationships dissolving without drama, new ones emerging with uncanny timing. The grid is repatterning itself around you because you are feeding it a new pattern. You've already begun to see glimpses of the new earth in micro moments, a stranger's kindness, a child's laughter, a flash of synchronicity. These are like quantum pings from the future, signals from the version of humanity that's already coherent, calling back to you. Keep going, keep embodying, keep transmitting. Tonight isn't just your shift, it's our shift. And it started the moment you said yes, whispered your word, anchored your code. Now the shift stops being an idea and starts being a texture. You can feel it in your skin like a subtle static charge, a velvet pressure pressing inward from the edges of your aura. It isn't dramatic fireworks, it's intimate, cellular, quiet. The field is no longer just out there. It's in your bloodstream, your fascia, the marrow of your bones. Close your eyes for a heartbeat and notice. Your breath no longer feels like air moving through lungs, but like light flowing through a flute. Each inhale a stream of photons, each exhale a wave of information. The quantum field is breathing you. When you walk across the room now, the space bends differently. Objects seem a fraction closer or farther, sounds a little sharper, time a little thicker. You're not imagining this. This is the somatic language of phase transition. The tingling at the crown of your head? That's your nervous system, rewiring, dendrites sprouting like luminous vines. The warmth rising up your spine? That's your DNA folding into a new shape, unlocking dormant codons like doors that were waiting for the right frequency. The flutter in your stomach isn't anxiety, it's your second brain, the enteric field, recalibrating to the new signature. Even your tears, if they come, taste different, saltier, cleaner, like the ocean after a storm. These sensations aren't random. They're metaphors your body uses to tell you what your mind can't yet articulate. Think of a caterpillar liquefying inside its cocoon. If it could speak, it would say, "I feel like I'm melting, dissolving, breaking down." It wouldn't yet have the vocabulary of wings. That's where you are. You're not broken, you're becoming. Sometimes the sensations arrive as heaviness, like gravity increasing for a moment. That's the field anchoring through you, denser energy draining out. Other times it's lightness, as if your limbs were filled with helium. That's the upgraded frequency lifting you into coherence. You might notice your dreams turning lucid, your inner vision brightening, your senses amplifying, smells sharper, colors richer, music moving through you like rivers of gold. All of it is the same message. You're embodying the shift. It's important not to rush this stage. The mind will try to label, measure, compare. Is this Kundalini? Is this ascension? Is this a medical issue? Let the labels go. Your body has its own intelligence. Trust it. Drink water. Walk barefoot. Breathe slowly. These simple acts help your nervous system integrate the upgraded code, like grounding an electric circuit after a surge. Notice also how other people respond to your embodied state. Some will be magnetized, leaning closer without knowing why. Others will pull back, unsettled by a frequency they can't interpret. That's normal. Your aura has become a mirror. It reflects back what's coherent and reveals what's not. You don't have to manage anyone's reaction. Just stay present. Even the earth itself begins to feel different. Trees seem to hum when you pass. The sky appears deeper. Animals meet your eyes longer. These are not hallucinations. They are interactions with the living field. When your coherence rises, the morphic resonance between you and the biosphere intensifies. It's the same entanglement, now experienced somatically. If at any moment the sensations feel overwhelming, remember, you're safe. Put a hand over your heart. Breathe slowly. Whisper your chosen word. This re-anchors your body to the upgraded frequency without collapsing back into the old loop. Integration is like dancing with waves. You don't control the tide, but you can let it carry you. Little by little, you'll notice that the weird sensations become normal. The tingling becomes a steady glow. The rushes of energy become a gentle current. The flickers of déjà vu become a serene knowing. This is your nervous system stabilizing at a higher bandwidth. And in that stabilization, something exquisite emerges. Embodiment. No longer trying to get there. No longer waiting for a sign. You find yourself living as the sign, walking as the prayer, breathing as the transmission. That's when you realize reality hasn't just shifted to match you. It's flowing through you, wearing your body as its interface. Sit with that. Let your cells drink it in. This is the new baseline. This is what it feels like to be the shift, not just to chase it. The sensations you've been feeling, the tingles, the warmth, the pressure in your chest, are the surface ripples of something even deeper, your DNA entering a breakthrough state, not as a poetic metaphor, but as a literal phase transition. Just as water can no longer remain liquid when the heat crosses a critical point, your genetic code can no longer remain in its old folding pattern when your consciousness crosses this frequency. It starts quietly, a subtle vibration at the base of your spine, a faint hum behind your ears. a sense that you're slightly taller inside your own skin. This is your double helix uncoiling, resonating with a higher geometry. Under electron microscopes, scientists have seen DNA emit biophotons, faint pulses of light. Tonight, you're not just reading about it, you're living it. The light inside your cells is flickering brighter, transmitting new information through your body like fiber optics. This is why you've been dreaming of other versions of yourself. Why time feels as though it's folding. Your upgraded DNA is not just a static instruction manual. It's an antenna tuning into parallel timelines, accessing patterns of possibility your previous self couldn't perceive. Every time you feel a déjà vu, it's a handshake between those timelines. Every time you sense a memory of something that hasn't happened yet, it's a download from a future you've already activated. The pressure you felt, that strange heaviness in your head or chest, is the same pressure a rocket feels just before it breaks the sound barrier. The molecules of air pile up at the nose, forming an invisible wall. Then, with one decisive moment, the rocket pierces through and enters a new regime of speed and silence. That's you tonight. The morphic resonance of your old self is piling up, creating friction, distortion, doubt. But the instant you allow the DNA breakthrough, you pierce the barrier. On the other side, everything becomes smooth, inevitable, coherent. And because DNA is not isolated but entangled with the field, your breakthrough ripples outward. Imagine a row of tuning forks. Strike one at a higher pitch, and the others begin to vibrate without being touched. Your codons act like those tuning forks. As they shift, they emit a new signal that other humans unconsciously register. Someone you'll never meet will feel an inexplicable urge to forgive. Another will wake up tomorrow with a new idea that solves a problem they've wrestled with for years. This is the real meaning of light codes. Not mystical downloads from somewhere else, but your own DNA acting as a transmitter for the collective upgrade. You may notice your body's instincts changing. Foods you craved may now feel heavy. Places you once tolerated may now feel dense. Conversations you used to enjoy may feel like static. This is not you becoming judgmental. It's your biology aligning to your new frequency. Trust it, follow it. Drink more water, walk in nature, let the sun touch your skin. These simple acts help your nervous system integrate the increased photon flow now streaming through your cells. At times you might feel disoriented, a moment of vertigo, a flash of heat, a rush of tears. Don't panic. Place your hand over your heart, whisper your word, breathe deeply. This anchors the new pattern. Think of a software update on a device. The screen flickers, goes dark, restarts. That's your system integrating the upgraded code. And as your DNA stabilizes in its new folding pattern, you'll feel a shift in your perception of time. The future won't feel ahead anymore. It will feel like it's arriving from all sides, like a sphere instead of a line. This is what mystics called eternal now, and physicists call block time. Your upgraded antenna perceives reality as a hologram rather than a corridor. Choices will feel less like guesses and more like remembering. You won't hope for outcomes. You'll know which timeline you're in because you'll feel it in your bones. This is the moment you stop doubting the shift. Not because you've read it in a book or heard it from a teacher, but because your own cells have become the evidence. You're not waiting for proof. You are the proof. Breathe into it. Feel the hum in your spine, the glow in your cells. This is your DNA broadcasting a new song into the collective field. This is reality matching you at the genetic level. This is the phase transition becoming irreversible. On the other side of this breakthrough lies the next layer of your mission, not just to witness the shift, but to live it as the new normal. What you're stepping into now isn't a temporary state. It's a new baseline. The trembling you felt was not a prelude. It was the threshold. You've crossed it. Your DNA has locked into its new configuration. The observer loop has closed and opened simultaneously, like a double door swinging inward and outward at once. And on the other side, the view is wider, calmer, brighter. This is the moment you realize the shift you've been trying to make is already complete. You are not waiting for destiny anymore. You're walking inside it. Reality has already rearranged its mirrors to reflect your true coherence. And every step you take from here is a step taken on behalf of all humanity, not as a martyr, not as a savior, but as a living frequency, a point of light in the morphic web. You will notice that life starts to organize itself around your presence. Conversations open where there were once walls. Resources appear where there were once blockages. Timelines that once felt impossible slide into place as if they'd been waiting for you. This is not luck. This is the field obeying the new geometry of your signal. You've become the embodiment of the upgrade. And because you've become it, you're no longer a seeker of signs. You are the sign. Every glance, every word, every gesture carries the resonance of your breakthrough. Someone will hear your voice and feel a quiet permission to rise. Someone will stand next to you and feel their own timeline loosen. Without trying, without effort, your coherence becomes a silent revolution. This is your cosmic mission. To live the shift so fully that it stops being an event and becomes an atmosphere. To walk through cities, homes, digital spaces as a carrier of this frequency. To keep whispering your word, not as a mantra of longing, but as a seal of embodiment. To remember, in every breath, that you are not pushing reality. Reality is flowing through you, matching you, evolving with you. The closing of one loop is the opening of another. Tonight's leap is the first of many, not because you must chase more upgrades, but because evolution itself will now unfold through you naturally. You've become a living phase, transition humanity's future, wearing human skin. So as you sit in this moment, breathing the new air of your timeline, know this. You think you're shifting reality tonight, but reality has already shifted to match you.